Okay, for starters, we're going to go into our Windows system, and I'm going to configure our router to not broadcast the SSID. Our default IP address for our router is 192.168.2.1. Yours may be different depending on what model of router you're using. And go into channel in SSID, and we're going to change our SSID to something that we will be able to notice. So I'm going to change it to invisible. And then channel is on 6, and we'll go ahead and turn off broadcasting the SSID and see if it connected. Go ahead and apply the changes, and then I'm going to restart to make sure that those changes do take. Okay, and confirm that. And once we've done that, we will go ahead and switch over to our Backtrack system. See if we can detect the network that's not broadcasting the SSID. So go ahead and go into a console. And I'm going to do some real quick interface management here. Just dropping the interfaces I don't need and enabling the ones that I do. You shouldn't have to do this on your system. It's just cleanup that I prefer to do. Okay, and then for starters, we're going to go ahead and do... Okay, got my interfaces set up. An IW list, WLAN 1 scanning. WLAN 1 may be different depending on what interface you're using. And that should give us a list of what networks are currently available. If you look at this first one, it'll show you what the SSID on a normal network that is broadcasting the SSID will look like. This one says CL on it. And scrolling down, we're looking for something other than that for our one that isn't broadcasting. Whenever the SSID isn't broadcasting, it doesn't mean that the actual network isn't broadcasting beacon packets. It's just not broadcasting the SSID with those beacon packets. So you'll still be able to detect it with this scan. And here we go. Here's our network, and if you look at it, see how this is something completely, totally different than an actual listed SSID. Just a series of X's, zeros, and slashes. And so this is our network. As you can see, it's on channel 6 like ours is, and so we want to take note of what channel the network's on, and then we want to copy the MAC address, and then go ahead and go back down here, and we want to set our interface to be on the same channel as the network. So we're going to do an iwconfig WLAN 1 and then channel 6, and then we're going to do an airmon ng WLAN 1 start, and that will start. Oh, sorry, that's going to be an airmon ng start. Yeah, it's not in there, as you can see. So it's going to be airmon ng start WLAN 1. Got to get the syntax correct on these, and then that'll create our monitoring interface. And as you can see now with the ifconfig, we now have the Mon0 interface created, and that's our monitoring interface. Turning our wireless interface into promiscuous mode, and then do Wireshark and that'll open up the Wireshark GUI interface. And this isn't actually necessary, but what I'm going to do here is I'm going to show you what our standard broadcast packets look like, so you can see what an SSID broadcasting looks like. So we'll go ahead and do wlan.addr equals and then F's all the way across. If you're not familiar with it, that's the broadcast layer 2 address. And as you can see, with each of these going up at the end here on the right side, it actually lists the SSID equals. The ones that you're seeing that say SSID equals and there's nothing out beside it, that's my network. The rest of them, as you can see, are showing up. And now what I'm going to do is put an exclamation mark at the front of that, and that's basically collecting all packets that are not being broadcast. That's a negation identifier, and then use a conjunctive statement here, so and then we'll do WLAN addr equals, and then we're going to specify our MAC address for our wireless access point, so we can go ahead and paste that as we copied it earlier. And Now this will basically give us all traffic that isn't broadcast traffic, since we know that our broadcast traffic isn't showing us our SSID for our network since it's not broadcasting, and then any traffic that's going to or from our wireless access point. And then the next thing we want to do is we want to send a broadcast DOF packet spoofed from the MAC address of the wireless access point. So that's going to be an air replay NG, and then it's going to be a -0 to specify the DOF attack, and then do 1000. That's how many you want to send out. I usually just send them until it happens. And then -A, then the MAC address, then -0. And okay, now a lot of times, as you can see right here, it'll tell you actually what you need to include if you do run into any errors, and it tells us here how to actually force it by entering a --ignore -1, and that'll, as you can see, that'll force the broadcast packets, the DOF packets. And then if you look over here on Wireshark, you can see, and there it is, invisible. Basically what that does is it knocks off any systems that are currently connected to that network, so they have to reconnect to the network. In order to do so, they have to send probe requests, and in the probe responses from the wireless access point, it will include its SSID. So if you are trying to find out the SSID for a system that is not broadcasting, that's the way to do it. And that pretty much concludes our video.